All right, so we are looking at solving absolute value equations. We're going to solve absolute value equations of the form, the absolute value of x equals a. Now there's a rule, so if a is a positive number, then the absolute value of x is equivalent to x equals a or x equals negative a. I know this might sound weird, but all it means is, since we have the absolute value of x equals a, that means if I were to plug in the absolute value of negative a or the absolute value of positive a, I'm going to get back positive a, because the absolute value is the distance between a number and zero, or in this case our variable and zero, and it always gives back a positive number because distance is never negative. With that being said, the absolute value of some number can never equal a negative number. So if I had an equation of the absolute value of x equals negative 3, I would know automatically that this is incorrect because absolute value can never give out a negative number. It's always going to be positive. So we're going to look at our first little mini example. It just says solve the absolute value of p equals 2. So what we're doing here, since the absolute value of p is equal to 2, that means that p can be equal to 2, or p can be equal to negative 2. Now you definitely want to check this. If I take the absolute value of 2, that's going to equal positive 2. If I take the absolute value of negative 2, that's also going to equal positive 2. So in this case, both are correct, and these would be our answers. P equals 2 and p equals negative 2. They both count. Now I know that I just said it can never equal a negative number, but this doesn't equal a negative number. I know that we have negative 2 circled here, but this means when I take the absolute value of negative 2, which is what I checked here, I came out with a positive number. So we're going to solve each of the following equations. Now, when you have an absolute value equation, you want to make sure that there's nothing out in front of the absolute value symbols or behind the absolute value symbols. If there is, then you would need to move everything over to the other side of the equal sign before you could start your problem. But in this case, we have our absolute value symbol and we have 7. So what I'm going to do is, I know if I take the absolute value of something, I could get the positive value. If I plug something in here, I could end up with the positive value or the negative value. So I'm going to take what's inside 5w plus 3 and set it equal to positive 7. I'm also going to take 5w plus 3 and set it equal to negative 7. So from here, I'm going to work on getting w by itself for both problems. And I'm going to have two different sets of answers. I'm going to start with the left equation. To solve, I would subtract 3 from both sides. I have 5w equals 4. Then I would divide both sides by 5. And I have w equals 4 over 5. Then I would look at the right equation. I would start by subtracting 3 from both sides. I know that 5w equals negative 10. Then I need to divide both sides by 5. And I have w equals negative 2. So these are my potential answers. And what I want to do is I want to check to make sure that this is correct. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to check. I'm going to first write this out with this answer right here. I have 5 times 4 over 5 plus 3 inside my absolute value symbol, and it should equal positive 7. Well, I have 5 times 4, and I'm also dividing 4 by 5, so these 5s will actually cancel, and it'll leave me with the absolute value of 4 plus 3, which is 7. So that's good. This works out. Then I'm going to check my second answer, which is negative 2. and I have the absolute value of 5 times negative 2 plus 3 equals 7. Well, 5 times negative 2 is negative 10, so I have negative 10 plus 3. Negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7, and the absolute value of negative 7 is 7. So this works out as well. So these are both correct answers. You always want to make sure that you check your answers every single time. From here, we're going to move on to our next set of examples. I have this absolute value of 2x minus 1 equals 11. So again, I'm going to take 2x minus 1, and I'm going to set it equal to positive 11. And then I have 2x minus 1, and it's going to equal negative 11. So to solve, I'm going to start by adding 1 to both sides. These cancel, and I have 2x equals 12. Divide by 2. X equals 6. Over here, I'm going to start again by adding 1 to both sides. 2 equals negative 10. 2x equals negative 10. Divide both sides by 2. X equals negative 5. So these are my two possible answers. In example 3, I have 2x plus 5 equals 7. I want to make sure I get this piece by itself first before I worry about solving anything. So what I'm going to do is start by subtracting 5 from both sides. I have the absolute value of 2x is equal to 2. So I'm going to take away the absolute value symbol, and I'm going to set 2x equal to positive 2 and 2x equal to negative 2. And I'm going to solve for x. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. X equals positive 1. Divide both sides by 2. X equals negative 1. In example 4, I have the 2 times the absolute value of x is 24. I need to get rid of this 2 first. So to do that, I divide both sides by 2. Then I have the absolute value of x is equal to 12. To solve, I take what's inside the absolute value, which is x, and I set it equal to positive 12. And I also set it equal to negative 12. These are my two answers. Here I have p minus 4 equals negative 5. Now I know that we said before, if you have an absolute value equation, the right side can never be negative, or the other side can never be negative. However, we need to make sure that it stays negative after we move that 4. So I'm going to add the 4. And I have the absolute value of p is equal to negative 1. All right, this is still negative, and I know that the absolute value of anything can never equal 1. So this is actually going to be, can never equal negative 1 or a negative number. So this is actually going to be no solution. In example 6, I have negative 3 times the absolute value of f is equal to 9. I need to move the negative 3, and I'm going to do that by dividing both sides by negative 3. And I have the absolute value of f is equal to negative 3. Again, an absolute value can never be equal to a negative number, so this is also going to leave us with no solution. All right, that was solving basic absolute value equations. Have a great day.